What's going on? It's your boy Dalton from the Petrol List, and it's Monday. And there's not a whole heck of a lot to talk about with Formula One except for drivers' contracts. So let's just get into that. Carlos Sainz is getting a little bit closer to being the second driver for Mercedes. Rumor has it that Sainz wanted a 2-year contract with a possibility of extension. That makes complete and total sense. I mean, it's job security, and it's a possibility of driving a 2026 Mercedes car, which hopefully is going to be faster than the 2024 and 2025 cars. But Mercedes wants to do that same 1+1 contract that they were trying to give to Lewis Hamilton that he obviously rejected. I think Hamilton, just given his pedigree and accumulation of world championships, he had a little bit more bargaining power, if you will. Any team would be happy to have him. And he's got a huge amount of, I guess you could say, star power. So if Ferrari is looking to just kind of clean up in the PR department and also have two very good drivers, they have completely done that for the 2025 season and beyond with Leclerc and Hamilton. But Sainz is arguably the second best driving driver on the grid right now. He's handling the Ferrari well. He's the only Formula One driver to win a Grand Prix besides Max Verstappen in the last couple of years. So, obviously in my mind, it doesn't really make that much sense to me that Sainz is looking for work and getting crappy contracts. Now, I think if you look back at it, if Mercedes had treated their 7.5-time champion correctly with contracts, then he would never be on his way over to Ferrari, and all would be right in the world. But that wasn't the case, and Mercedes is still trying to do the same thing to Sainz that they did to Lewis Hamilton. In my opinion, Sainz is a better driver than George Russell. Hamilton is a better driver than George Russell. So Mercedes has to kind of figure out what they want, if they want to win. Now, I'm not really sure if they even want to try to win until 2026. And I think at that point, maybe Kimi Antonelli enters Formula One and they put all their eggs in that basket. They spend a lot of development money and energy trying to make sure that Kimi has the best car that can drive for him. But in the meantime, it leaves Sainz kind of out in a place that I really don't think he deserves. So say he goes into Mercedes with a 1-year contract, and then maybe in 2026 he can make the jump over to Audi when they take over Sauber. That means that he's really not going to have a great car until 2027. And at that point, he's going to be, 32 or 33? So it's really unfortunate that Sainz, one of the best drivers in current F1, has a 2 or 3 year window that doesn't really look promising. He should, have his pick of the litter when it comes to teams, but it's just not the case. And he's going to be going into a team at Mercedes, if that contract does go through, where he's going to have a very, I guess you could say, difficult to work with teammate. George Russell has been in Formula One for 5 years now. He's been waiting for that lead driver's position. Sainz, if he comes over, he's definitely going to give him a run for his money. And then pretty soon after Sainz either leaves or whatever, it's going to be Kimi Antonelli. I don't know if the Mercedes dream that George Russell had is ever going to come to fruition. And I think he might turn into a bitter, long-time Formula One driver. Will he win a championship? I'm not sure, but Sainz might join him And I think right now Sainz has more to prove than did Lewis Hamilton, and so he might drive that second car a little more skillful and a little bit more hungrily, if that's a word, than Lewis Hamilton. So George Russell isn't going to have too easy of a time if that contract does happen. It's still kind of open, but Mercedes has got to make a decision. Some of the key drivers aren't necessarily that excited to go over to Mercedes anymore. That leads into Lawrence Stroll. He has decided to keep Fernando Alonso. I like that decision. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that kind of is a segue into another little thing I want to mention. He has said that he's going to be keeping gas-powered Aston Martins well into the 2030s. Now, let's kind of scoot over into the world of electric cars just for a second. So this is according to an article I read in Forbes magazine. Boston Consulting Group says that customers want 20-minute charging times with a 350-mile range and sub $50,000 pricing if they are going to move fully over to electric vehicles, and currently that's not the case. So the rate of EV adoption is slowing. I want to say in the previous half, EV adoption was growing by 71% over the last half, and then now it's at 51% over the last half. Tesla announced its lowest profitability in 2 years. The UK ban on gas cars has moved from 2030 to 2025, and EV prices aren't going down. The average EV price in the US is $60,000, whereas the average car price in the US, or new car transaction, is still just south of $50,000. So if you actually take into account EV cars are more expensive, EV cars are actually driving up that new car transaction price. So it's a big problem for EV adoption. So Toyota and Honda hybrid sales are up over this time last year. 16% more hybrids sold for Toyota, 32% more hybrids sold for Honda, and also Ford, GM, Mercedes, VW, Jaguar Land Rover, and like I said, Aston Martin are all slowing their plans to go all electric. And many of them are making a move to more of a hybrid future than an electric future. So in my opinion, I think internal combustion engines are going to be very well supported for the next 10-15 years, maybe even beyond. So I can't give purchasing advice or whatever, but if you're just kind of reading the tea leaves, I think that a lot less is going to change over the next decade than we initially thought. That's your Monday video. Kind of quick, kind of did two different things, little Formula One, little transition via Lawrence Stroll's decision over into the EV market. And let's see how next weekend's race goes. Maybe it'll be competitive. I certainly hope so. Speaking of competitive, one last thing. Alain Prost has said that Max Verstappen's championships are slightly less valuable than championships that were won in other years. Now, I tend to agree with that, just given the dominance of the car. I'm not taking away anything from Max Verstappen's driving skills, but we got to admit that RB20 machine is dominating like no other machine has dominated in Formula One, I think. Now, I know people in the comments are going to be like, oh, what about Mercedes, and what about even Alain Prost's 4 championships? Well, there were other drivers in the mix. There were other cars that were on the verge of winning championships, and for the last couple of years, there's been no car even close to the RB19 and RB20. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Do you agree with Alan Prost? Do you disagree with him? Do you think each championship is equally valuable, or do you think that sometimes circumstances can make I don't know, give certain championships a bit of an asterisk? Let me know your thoughts. You know, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and sign off. I will catch you next week after we review whatever the heck F1 race is coming up. I'm out.